Hello friends, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. Hope you can hear and see me okay. Things seem to be good on my end, so we're just going to go for it. Sorry for going a little bit silent lately. We're in the middle of moving right now. Long story, I can tell it later during a live stream, but this July is going to be very busy for me. Content will restart pretty much July 1st, in case you're curious. And it's going to be a doozy, so I'm very excited for you to join me for that. Age of Sigmar focused when I give out those spoilers, but I do have content for other games coming too. So, with that out of the way, that's my little preamble, my update for folks. Now, before I got into the moving haze, I was trying to do as many newscasts as possible. A little bit stifled by Games Workshop really only focusing on 40k. But we do get news tidbits because now they've previewed the General's Handbook, the next one coming out, the 23 to 24. And so we're going to talk about the contents they previewed in a Warhammer community article today. So I'm excited to get into it. I do these kinds of things for folks who are on the go, whether that's driving with a bunch of kids in the car or, trucking across this country in the US. Just if you don't like to read and you just want to listen. So I will read the article. We'll discuss as we kind of go. I went ahead and pinned the top comment in the comment section, the live feed chat, with the link to this article, which we are now looking at. And that's going to be the General's Handbook 23-24 prepares for a new season in Frozen Antdor. So that's the name of our new location. I will say, I'm just going to say up top, because I didn't really review the last one, mainly because, I don't know, I just was away from Age of Sigmar for a bit, and it didn't really have a very unique flavor to me, but I like the idea of, now we're still in Gur, kind of, or we are still in Gur, yes, but it's pivoting to a different kind of biome, which is deeply frozen countries. Antdor is actually on the big Gur map, and it's pretty sweet. So, let's see. I tried to shove that order MG to a few lists, but never managed to fit it. Order MG. I'm not sure what that means, order MG. So, yes, I'm working with this here. Let's go through this article. The mortal realms are on the cusp of change. The Seraphon have returned with renewed vitality. Sigmar's Dawnbringer Crusades now forge their way into the dark to reclaim lands lost to the forces of chaos, carrying the blazing torch of civilization with them. Bearing Sigmar's light is no easy task, and those attempting to claim a foothold in Gur face resistance from savage beasts, ambitious rivals, and even the land itself. Okay. Tom Ash, good day from Poland. Oh, what's up, dude? That's actually it's my main heritage. I don't know anything about Poland. I'm not going to call it the home country. I'm not going to be that kind of pretentious, but thank you for saying hi. Continuing the article here. Oh, they have a great picture of just a bunch of different factions at war, specifically Caradron overlords fighting demons of Tzeentch, which is a nice little pick. We have emerged from claustrophobic tunnels of Galay. That's right, that was the last thing we did. Right on. Into icy tundras of Antdor, where sorcery runs rampant. In this inhospitable frozen waste, landmasses crack and reform, revealing locuses of amber magic to harness, realm gates to seize, and resources to harvest. This harsh land is the setting for the next season of Warhammer Age of Sigmar competitive play, which runs for an entire year. I remember there was a rumor swirling around that they were going to make it... Here, actually, I can do this. Hey! I thought there was a rumor that they were going to go to a shorter based format, and I don't know where I heard that, but I'm glad it's wrong. Every 6 months have a different thing. That sounds ridiculous. So, this is an important change in format, as it means the new season is double the length of previous ones. Yes. This book will be the go-to match play resource for twice and long. And all the way through the summer of next year, you can still look forward to quarterly balance updates to ensure the metagame. Yeah, I was kind of getting the sense that they were going to go do an annual thing again. But there's a lot of people saying, ooh, yeah. was it Herald of is it Manway? The Warhammer Weekly folks will like the 1 year session. I'm trying to catch up on those episodes. I'm actually, so spoiler, I'm getting a Hedonites of Slaanesh army, and so I'm listening to that episode and trying to catch up from there because I'm way out of the loop on AOS stuff. And I noticed that they mentioned that a few times here and there is like they don't like the split seasons, whatever. I like it. That's cool. I hope they're happy. So we'll keep going here. Oh, here's the picture of the actual book. Love it. Some wonderful art on the front. I know that's a very small deal, but as someone who does collect these things, it matters to me. It's pretty on the shelf. The General's Handbook, Pitched Battles 23 to 24, concentrates on the wizards who seek to profit from the primeval magic that suffuses Antdor, as well as those who hunt them down by using null stone artifacts to weather their empowered and unbridled spell casting. So already it sets up, Galay seemed to be focused on heavy infantry things. The first one was monsters. Now we're like wizard focus. Like that's the next, I should say chamber in the revolver. Absolutely. So I'm very excited for that. I will say magic can be a bit obnoxious, especially with armies like specifically Lumineth Realm Lord. So we'll see, but we'll work on it. So yeah, we'll check it out. I'm sure they had that army in mind. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So here is the. Okay, they're going into the rules now, so I'll go back to the article. Apologies. In this battle pack, your wizard heroes. Okay, that's how they deal with the Lumineth units. With a wounds characteristic of 9 or less, and who are not unique, gain the Antdorian Locus keyword. Each round, the player with the second turn can pick one hero to take advantage of the swelling magic in Antdor with optimal focus. If they're an Antdorian Locus, they can cast and unbind an extra spell that round. Otherwise, they gain a free command point for issuing commands. Okay, so that's their summary. Let me actually read optimal focus, all right? I'm actually going to read the flavor text because I like this. Like all things Gersh, Antdorian magic is wild and dangerous, but a wizard who focuses their entire concentration on manipulating it can find their powers amplified beyond expectation. At the start of the battle round, after priority is determined, the player taking the second turn can pick one friendly hero on the battlefield. If that hero is an Antdorian Locus, they can attempt to cast one extra spell and attempt to unbind one extra spell in the battle round. If they're not an Antdorian Locus, you receive one command point that can only be spent to allow that hero to issue a command. So you get a free command point provided it's tied to the person. Okay. The last little bit here regarding this. Oh no, that goes into the magic. So we're gonna pause there and just kind of unpack that for a bit. So I like that they're taking a focus on wizards. Hero keyword eliminates the weird unit interactions. Very happy about that. You say it's obvious, but things like that happen, or they have in the past. It's been a while since they've released something that is that broad, whatever. They've had a better track record. So I'm looking at this and I like the idea. Actually, that flavor text I read for a reason, because I love the idea of it is a sole benefit to the player going second, and thematically when you're talking about how priority shifts, the person who's, they're the focus, the other guy is channeling and focusing as he's looking at the enemy coming at him more aggressively. So thematically, I actually really like the idea, of your spellcasters just standing there and being like, boom, Professor X style, prime the mind bullets. And you're just kind of chilling. I dig it. I'm trying to think, are there armies that really benefit? Like, who has the best little wizards? I'm thinking Glooms Bite gets. I do not know how to pronounce that name. I'm sorry, username B is what I'm going to call you. Skaven Foot Wizards being better is awesome for me. Exactly, Skaven, yes. Little Grey Seers, they're so cheap and they can do so much damage. Oh, Jacob Brooks, I'm just dropping by to say I love your content. Hope you have a great day. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you. All the donations go to supporting me, my wife, our cats, and it just means a lot to me. Thank you. Beasts of Chaos and Iron Jaws. Bone Splitters too, because Wardocs are super cheap little dudes that can do a little bit of buffs. They kind of lost some of their utility, but absolutely, because no matter how many goat shaman you have, more is gooder. And that does help. I like that. Okay, right on. So we got some cool focuses. Is there anything like, does Death have a bunch of cheap spellcasters? What am I thinking? I guess the Necromancer is, no, he's a big force multiplier for other reasons. There are some Ossiarch Bone Reaper heroes that are pretty reasonably priced, right? Is there cheap casting in Death? I can't think of like a whole lot of different units off the top of my head. It's been a minute since I've really looked at Death armies. It's probably like right in my face. Okay, continuing. Players may also harness primal magic of Antdor, earning special dice which can be used to boost for casting, unbinding, and dispelling rolls. Wizards be warned, however, taming the feral magic of Gur comes with the risk of a primal miscast. Okay, we're going to get to that. Players may also harness primal magic. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's just talking about the primal magic school. Okay, I was looking for like another universal rule. I was like, what am I missing? Okay, so now we're going to talk about this. An Antdoran Locust can also cast from the lore of Primal Frost, so that's its own spell lore, instead of picking a spell from their usual selection. Such wizards might ensorcel their comrades' weapons with a biting Hoarfrost, completely changing the 2-hit, 2-wound, and rend characteristic until your next hero phase. So let's go through. This is a particular spell that you can get access to under this GHB. Hoarfrost is a spell, has a casting value of 8, range of 12. If cast, pick one friendly unit wholly within range, invisible to the caster. Pick one melee weapon profile on that unit's war scroll and roll a d3. Change the 2-hit, 2-wound, or rend characteristic of that melee weapon to match the result until the start of your next hero phase. For example, if the result was a 2, you could either change the 2-hit to a 2+, the 2-wound to a 2+, or the rend characteristic to a -2. An unmodified hit roll of 1 or a wound roll of 1 always fails, so no matter what. So, I freaking love that spell. That is brutal. Because if you have a unit who excels at one thing, or maybe two things, you can just crush. So for example, Iron Jaws are the first one that come to my mind. Or specific, well, you used to say Rogue Idol, but now it's Big Stabbas, okay? Big Stabbas go in, and they don't hit well. That's always been the problem. But they can wound like a freight train, and they have rend to the moon. So if you can modify that hit roll, that is so nice. Oh, man. Vinci hit the nail on the head. Zombies are thriving with double casting Necromancer, Dance Macabre, and Hoarfrost. Exactly, because it helps that the zombies at least will always suck at something. Like by that I mean this modifies one of those stats. Rend would be amazing. I suppose. Yeah. New camera setup is crisp. Oh, I hope so. I didn't really do anything. I've been working off my laptop most of the time, which is why I'm just saving up notes and stuff like that. I have a bunch of videos coming. Anyway, so that's our one previewed spell. Rend 3 Ghouls, 60 Clan Rats buff to 3 attacks. Update, hit wounds, Rend, hello. Exactly. Exactly, and I love it. That's such a fun idea. And you know, it's fun to me because it's equal access to everyone. If one army had this, I'd be like, ugh. Unless that was their shtick, right? Like every unit was good at one thing and you had to use the spell to make up for it. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the article here. Armies without any spellcasters can take Nullstone adornments to weather the hazardous sorcery of Antdor. The hand-carved nullstone icon is one such enhancement, allowing heroes to unbind spells or dispel an endless spell with a chance of unbinding another each time they succeed. And then there is a small typo. Okay. So here is one of our... it's interesting. So the way this is written, armies without any spellcasters, that's interesting because I would imagine if it's a list of just like random artifacts and stuff like that, someone who's not a wizard would be able to take one of these things, but it's interesting to me that they made it army-wide. Nobody can be a wizard. Interesting. Let's see. What else was I going to say? I just had a thought about that. Are there any armies that just don't have magic? I mean like in a reliable sense. So, Gargants, I can think of that, right? I mean, you have to do certain things to gain wizard as a keyword, if I'm not mistaken. But, like, they are not inherently wizards. Are there any others? I'm trying to think of any army. Fire Slayers, thank you, Brent. Yes. Also, hey, what's up, dude? Fire Slayers can absolutely benefit from this. Alduarden. Duh. Blades of Corn, that's true. Troll only Glooms Bite. I wish the game was designed around troll only Glooms Bite. I wish that was the level of fun. Okay. We're back on the article here. So here is our one example of a nullstone adornment. It's called the hand-carved nullstone icon. The bearer can attempt to unbind one spell or attempt to dispel one endless spell in the enemy hero phase in the same manner as a wizard. Each time the bearer successfully unbinds a spell or attempts to unbind a spell using this ability, the bearer can attempt to unbind one additional spell in that phase. So you get a shot, and if you succeed, you get a second shot at something else going on, which is cool. I mean, it's like a double jump. You know, if the first one lands wherever you are, you get an immediate, you just have to stick that first one. On top of this, there are 12 brand new battle plans and everything else you'd expect from a General's Handbook, which is, I checked that asterisk. It just, there's going to be revised rules for endless spells, that kind of stuff. The usual thing that we've seen with the nice core rules in the back. It looks to be stock standard from what they listed here. But yeah, 12 missions. And then it moves into Regiments of Renown. So I'm going to pause there. That's just to talk about the GHB in general. Hey, look, more Volkite Berserkers. Do you think the anti-magic enhancement is free? Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, these are all universal things based on that location. We have these now. Events allow them, but people generally I see don't take a ton of them unless it's like a really hot item. So that's about it. Let's see. Yeah, KO, Corn, or Orcs have some great wizards. It's a fair amount of armies with little to no magic. Yeah, exactly. That's to say nothing of good magic, because there's plenty of armies that have it that choose never to bring wizards because they're like, what's the point? Everything's just going to get shut down. I feel like a lot of Nurgle players are like that. Why would I do that? Okay, so they didn't say how many total items there are going to be for nullstone adornments, meaning how many non-magic options where you have access to, but it's either going to be 3 or 6, right? That's always how they do these things. Okay, I'm moving on to Regiments of Renown. 4 new Regiments of Renown, each with a brand new hero, are also coming soon. These were first previewed at Warhammer Fest 2003, and like the previous Regiments of Renown boxes, each collection fits into a core battalion that allows them to be taken in any Grand Alliance army other than their quote-unquote home faction, even if they break the allied points threshold. So I will explain that to folks who are new to the game and you're just trying to get caught up. Each of these boxes is a complete bolt-on section to an army. You don't have to worry about allied points. You don't get any more. Like, these are all your allied points are spent on these guys, but they can break the normal rules. They have their own restrictions that come inside, and all that stuff's listed in the GHB as far as what that'll be like, I'm sure, because yeah, they did mention at the Warhammer Fest thing that it's going to be in there. So, and they're just meant to be narrative things. Now, one thing I wish, just looking at the lineup here before we get into the contents, which we will be reviewing today, is I feel like these are a wonderful opportunity for Games Workshop that they are missing to kit bash something. Like, all of the units that they show here, and I have them up on screen, are the bog standard versions of those units. Make them unique. Why am I looking at normal red-headed fire slayers instead of the Grey Fear Lodge with some kit bashing and some bits thrown in to make them a Regiment of Renown? You know, that's my thought. But that's my high level thing. I think there are some winners, some losers, but honestly, I think none of them are bad. If you didn't catch how it works, you can be like an order box. The Fire Slayers can be in any army Grand Alliance order. So any of the good guys, they simply cannot be in a Fire Slayers army. If you want to use these models and you're a Fire Slayers player, you already have access to them from your battle tome. They don't want you like being all janky with the way what do they call it? Regiments and units and rules interactions work like that. So they're trying to keep it clean. So for example, the Nurgle army can work in any faction, which is funny because Tzeentch hates them so much. But we'll see. I don't know. I just thought it was an opportunity to do something cool. So let's get into the Fire Slayers one. Clearly, the best box ever. You can tell it's the best because every time they do any kind of discount box, the Fire Slayers are in the front of it. All you have to do is make baby magma dragon cavalry, and everyone will want this army. Okay, so I'm an Office fan, and it just makes me just want to be like, Dwight, you ignorant slut. James Workshop, you ignorant slut. Just give me Magmadroth baby cav. Okay. The Blazing Fire Slayers of Fiori's Flamebringers are led by the Grimhold Exile Fiori, a survivor of a destroyed magma hold who stokes his fellow Fire Slayers into action through fanatical fervor. Alongside Fiori, fight 10 Volkite Berserkers, 5 Hearthguard Berserkers, and 5 Auric Hearthguard, who hurl themselves into combat to uphold their ancient martial traditions. Actually, one thing I do want to point out here is Hearthguard Berserkers, depending on how it's written in that war scroll, like for the battalion for them, I really hope they wrote it in such a way that you can take either option. There are 2 options for like the weapons loadout, but if they keyword it to Hearthguard, you should... Arc Hearthguard. No, I'm thinking Hearthguard Berserkers, yes. Because it's Hearthguard Berserkers with blank weapon. Anyway, depending on how they keyword it, I want them to make it so you can make it whatever weapon option. Let's see. Okay. That's all the information they give about this? Okay. So, basically, the big talk around this particular faction here is that each of these is a way to sell a bunch of model kits, fair enough, but with a unique hero. And so the hero that comes in each one of these, this is the first time that you can get it. So if you're a Fire Slayers player, you probably own multiples of all of these units because they make up an inordinate amount of your army. But that little dude right in the dead center there, the model they previewed at Warhammer Fest, he is the really unique thing about this box. His lore being he's the last of the magma hold. If you don't know the story behind that, whenever you're the last one in a magma hold, you take like the dying ember of their forge and you put it in your weapons. So that's the flaming weapons that he's wielding. I'm not saying he's not a cool Fire Slayer. He is a cool Fire Slayer. He also looks like every other Fire Slayer. And they're all cool, but you know, it looks like a LARP gone wrong. Everyone showed up in the same outfit. When everyone's just so copy paste. So we just need a little bit more diversity and that model will shine. Again, a point where you could, if they had taken the extra time to just give a painter a day, because I feel like they can do this, paint some of their hair black, make it gray-feared, give them a story, because mercenaries are the theme here, of course. It's Merc box. And just put some extra work into like making it feel like they can fit anywhere and kind of be dastardly about it. I think that would have been much more enticing, at least for narrative fluffy players, right? I mean, people who just like a spice of something. Yeah. If you have thoughts about the Fireslayer box, go ahead and drop them. Fireslayer players, we need more unit diversity. Best we can do is hammers instead of axes. Hell, throw in some female Fireslayer. Yeah, exactly. Just something. Okay. Next one is the Nurgle box. From a diseased shroud of fog emerge Folgoth's Shudderhood, that's a great name, by the way. Shudderhood. If you're looking for a name for your Nurgle army, just take that, because this box will eventually, at some point in life, go away, and you could just save that name and keep it forever. So, under the miserable direction of the Eponymous, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry guys. Harbinger of Decay, this band of despondent warriors comprises 5 putrid blight kings, leaking vile filth from corrupted protrusions, and a pair of Puscoil blight lords. So, it's kind of, what is it, the Warcry Warband box plus a Harbinger of Decay. I like this stuff. Got a picture of it here. They previewed again the Harbinger of Decay as being one of the big Herald models. I'd imagine they contribute to the story. Eponymous. Okay, eponymous. I mean, look, if you want Nurgle, it's a great box. If you are dabbling in Nurgle, heck yes, because he's not a named character, as far as I know. I mean, I haven't seen the War Scroll, but like the Harbinger of Decay actively right now is a War Scroll that's not a named unique character. So like they're just a baller a baller hero in your army. Grab a box or two. This is a great starter to anybody. Like, why not? And if you're a Chaos player, like Slaves to Darkness, you just want to slide kind of in a different direction, this is a killer way to do it too. This model's incredible. Great job. Thank you guys. Thank you. There's so many of those words that, like, if you've only ever seen it written and you've never heard it pronounced, you're like, I would have never guessed that. That's where we'll move on from the Nurgle one. I think the Nurgle one is a winner simply because all of these are units you're going to want. You're going to want the Fat Boys on Flies and the Fat Boys on Foot. The unique hero, well, it's not unique in the army. Unique in that this is the first way to get it retail. It's just a nice icing on top. This would be a great box regardless of the hero. Okay, speaking of great boxes no matter what, we move on to what is still the undisputed heavyweight champion of value in the mortal realms, the Flesh Eater Courts. Caught in the enrapturing delusion propagated by their bestial vampire rulers, the Flesh Eater Courts believe themselves to be part of an elaborate world of royal courts and knightly vows. Jerian's delegation ride out under the behest of Marrow Scroll Herald Jerian, whose diplomatic gifts are nothing but bloody flesh and bone. He is accompanied by 20 slavering crypt ghouls, 3 soaring bat-winged crypt flayers, and 3 repugnant crypt horrors. Again, I'm curious if there's going to be stipulations on how you build. Like, do you have to have 1 unit of flayers, 1 unit of horrors, or can you do like 0 to 2 of whatever, up to a max of 2? So I'm kind of interested to see how they do that one. But this is a super cool looking mini. Right there in the center, you can see him. Basically, think of like a really, it's just a greatly posed Flesh Eater Courts hero, and his weapon is so interesting. Do you know what this weapon is called? Because when I first saw it, I kind of, I'll show you in the picture here, I'll circle it. Right here, I didn't see that there's a second blade coming down the bottom. I only saw the blade in the top. So I was like, oh, he's like a reaper, or like a scythe or something like that. And I don't know. I love it. the reason this maintains, if you're new to the game and you're like, what do you mean the best undisputed value? If you're not familiar, there are 2 kits represented in this set right now. The ghouls at the bottom, and on top, the crypt horrors and crypt flayers are made from the same kit. You could buy 30 of these boxes and probably make something different each time, because also the heroes, the non-named characters, many of them are kit-bashed versions called courtiers. So there's a courtier that serves crypt horrors that, if you chose not to do the flayers, you could use the bits and make a hero specifically for these guys. All those kinds of things. It's the most versatile box ever. You could keep buying the same thing forever, and you could just have all kinds of different variations in your army. If you were crazy and you hated yourself, you could magnetize them and then have everything with exactly 1 copy of, you know, all the units or whatever, or 1 big pool of crypt horror chassis and then attach different arms. But I don't know. That is why I joke about it being the best value. And then if you bought like 3 of these, you got yourself a full-on Flesh Eater Court army. You can kit bash the hero with leftover bits from the crypt horror kit to make different heroes, like having a vampire lord on foot or whatever he is, Arborant Ghoul King on foot, that kind of stuff. So awesome. Anytime they have Flesh Eater Courts in a box, I'm just like, yes, please. It tempts me every time, because I'm like, hot diggity, man, that's like it's not a quarter of an army, but it's pretty darn close, especially if you buy multiples and you make some of those heroes and the points kind of rack up. Let's see. It's hard to justify buying the Flesh Eater. Now for the best one. Thank you, Brent. The Regiments of Renown are static locked. Okay. I'll take your word for it. It's hard to justify buying the Flesh Eater Courts one when there are so many rumors about the FEC getting a range refresh in a few months. I feel like, given what they have done with Chaos, like Slaves to Darkness and some of the leader models from the devoted other Chaos God factions and the Beasts of Chaos, I feel like they are getting really good at making minis that do not stand out or invalidate older things. Think Chaos Knights, think Chaos Warriors. What else we got? I mean, honestly, Crypt Ghouls, they've made those for Warcry that were, I'm sorry, Warcry. They're Warcry or Underworlds. And they look fantastic. They look seamless. They're just more fun looking, quite frankly. But they fit right in. Same thing with Bone Splitters. Their Underworld's Warband just looks right with the Bone Splitters. So, all that to say, if they're refreshing them, I trust. I'm going to do my trust fall and say that they're going to work with whatever this range is, because people will at this point have said so many of them. Even if they made new kits, it would probably just be to do the courtiers, which I do think they should do. That's just an opinion. Conquest looks so much better. I oscillate. Right now, I'm back in a Games Workshop mood. I was out of it for a while, but, Doug is like the warp. He ebbs and flows. Okay. Our next one here is Braggott's Bottle Snatches. Are a rambunctious mob of squigs and gits under the loose command of Braggot, a rabble-rouser, which is the name of the hero type, with an enchanted skull that boosts his volume. Braggot bursts out with 10 bouncing squig hoppers, a squig herd, which are the ones that run on foot like just the squigs, containing 2 squig herders and 10 squigs, and a gathering of 5 wise grots known as the Gabapalooza. So this one is a way to get Glooms Bite gits. Glooms Bite gits are the same thing as Flesh Eater Courts in that they're just like, oh, we need some range to just dump a bunch of minis. Shaw! And they just like have the KFC bucket of those particular factions. Whenever there's a sale, it's Flesh Eater Courts and Glooms Bite gits. Glooms Bite have had the most holiday bundles, and every time it's like Squigalanche. And they just never learn the lesson that, like, I don't know what lesson they're trying to learn. The people love it and they wanted to have it every year, or if nobody likes it, I don't know. Personally, I think it's the most cool thing ever. Let's see. Hi, Doug. Did you read the short story on the Feck Mercenary box? I have not yet, but I'm going to. I was just moving boxes and stuff this week. So in this box, we have our new hero, which amplifies his voice. Now, I like the idea of a hero for Glooms Bite gets that is a force multiplier. I mean, that's what the army is about, right? Taking crappy little dudes and then ramping up to 11, and and then watching them die in droves. But they got a good punch in there, hopefully at some point. And so that's kind of what I think the theme of this box is, right? The hero is supposed to have a big booming voice to give commands, I assume. And then the Gobapalooza is a collection of semi-heroes that kind of work together and to, again, buff units, all different kinds of stuff. Sorry, I'm having like a hiccup kind of stuck in my throat. Let's see, we have Elect Man. I do enjoy the Gits box. I could use more Squig Hoppers, and why not? I guess I could use a 4th set of Squig Herd. Squig Herd are fun. You just throw them in, you're just like, cool. Shoot that instead of anything else. Faux heroes. I like it. So it's a cool box if you have any kind of destruction army. Like, I'm tempted by this for my Bone Splitters. I don't know why it took me a second to think of that one. Just because, why not? It's super fun. I mean, I could use disposable troops just like anybody else. The more disposable, the better even. And so, yeah, I don't know. I can run these guys face first into the enemy and then just put a bunch of pigs on the objective and be like, I hope you can't deal with this. And if they can, they can. It's the same battle plan as I normally do now, but I now have a, what is it? A rogue idol shaped hole in my list and heart. The only unit I'm not sure about is the Gobapalooza. I already have one. That's the thing. Like, this box feels very different than the others, and I'm interested to see the rules for it simply because compared to the others, okay, I'm trying to think how to word this. The portion of this box that is about buffing characters or debuffing characters, just heroes in general that are force multipliers versus or compared to the amount of actual dudes who do stuff, like go out and fight or whatever, is very interesting. Because this one is skewed heavily towards, like, if you got in with any other Glooms Bite Git set, and this is a great way to just instantly level up with all the heroes you need, but it's also one that most people would already have. So, I don't know. Now, that being said, it does feel the most Mercenary or Regiment of Renown like, because these guys would each have their own story. Like, it would be really cool. I think a party that is largely made up of heroes is a cool idea. It's just that it's so different than the other ones who each have one. I'm just double checking my math here. Yeah. Like, all these other units, Fire Slayers, aesthetics aside, some of those units can punch. The Nurgle ones, they're gross. They do Nurgle-y stuff. They're awesome, actually. The Flesh Eater Courts, they're bodies. The Horrors and the Flayers are really what you're there for. If you want this in your army, you're going to use the Ghouls as kind of your meat shield, and then that's just to deliver your better stuff. But those units are really good, so I'm not blasting that. And then the Squig box, it adds speed because the Squig Riders and the Squigs on foot, the Squig Herd, can all be like really fast, assuming you roll well. But like, they will evaporate very quickly. They don't move as many things on the table as some of these other units. I don't know. It's interesting. But I will say, how does is it the Gobapalooza, the boss set? How does that work with objectives? Do they count as anything special when it comes to claiming objectives? Like, are they still a benefit even if you sent all the squigs forward to go die and be a meat shield? You can then have a pocket of presumably spellcasters and stuff like that. I'm actually not sure how they work. I've never fully explored the Glooms Bite Gits book, but I should. Let's see. If you can squint, you can tell which unit is which exactly. I know there's value in taking more than one Gobapalooza, but I'm not super sure how valuable it'll be. That's fair. I killed a Slaughter Priest on Skull Altar by hopping over him with squigs. That's amazing. Oh, man. Wonder what the future for Fire Slayers will be like. Do you think they will get a proper range one day? I hope so. I hope so. I mean, they have... That's the thing, is they have the infantry down. It's all the other stuff that adds variety that they need. So... or be rolled into some future Dwarvish faction. I don't see that, really. But, I don't know. One thing I'm not really getting from this is I feel like... You guys can help me theory craft here, okay? I think, first of all, as I mentioned before, this box should have been a gray-feared one. Give someone an extra day to just paint this hair black. And also, I think Fire Slayers should have a box that can work for any Grand Alliance. I think that would be so cool, because Greyfeared do. They work for everybody. When you play as a Fire Slayers player, when you're doing your Path to Glory, you're allowed to take contracts from, like, super chaos dubious people, because the Urgold is all that matters. And so, I don't know. It's just interesting. I feel like if they really honed that in as a faction of like how the mercenary interactions work, it would be really cool to have a universal Merc faction. And if you wanted to just do it by itself, that's cool. Hot take, Fire Slayers will be rolled into 40k lease of Votan. Yes, exactly. Guys, we couldn't make it work over here. Let's just cut our losses. We'll strap some bolters to their sides. Throw in the extra sprue like they do for the Zangors. Instead of the 2 axes, just 2 pistols. Oh, man. I'm not sure about the AOS value of these, but the Warcry value seems pretty potent. Absolutely, Tom. I mean, yeah, every single one of these is a fully complete Warcry army, I would imagine. I mean, obviously the heroes wouldn't have Warcry rules day one, although that seems like the kind of thing the community articles would do, like as that box is releasing, so we'll see. Don't you dare get me started on Zangors. Why is there no Ogre box? They are Mercs in the lore. Well, let's see. 4 new Regiments of Renown. What were the previous ones? I don't remember. Oh, yeah! Oh, man, I totally forgot about these. Okay, hold up. I'm processing. Are these still legal? Like, were these connected to the GHB, and so when the new one drops, these phase out and new Regiments of Renown are in? Because there's some interesting stuff here. Compelling. I am compelled. Let's see. There's no Ogre box yet. Okay. Well, I hope there is. I don't think they were tied to the GHB. Cool. Very, very interesting. Okay. I'll look into that. I'm kind of curious. If you are watching this later and you know the answer, like, are those things still legal going on in the future? Be very curious to know. So, there's no Skaven box yet either. I can understand that. I just feel like Ogres and Fire Slayers make the most overt, obvious sense in the lore. They've also told stories before about like skeleton lords, like Barrow Kings, like taking their armies to around to fight. Flesh Eater Courts also work because their reality is malleable, so you can kind of play with motivations there very easily. Yeah, and then Ogres I think make more sense than Glooms Bite. I'm trying to think of a good chaos. Well, I don't want to say Slaves to Darkness, but I mean, maybe like a Dark Oath faction could be kind of cool. Like, you build a box around Dark Oath War Queen, rather, and have her bring a cool little entourage of Chaos Warriors. Maybe a thing of Knights? I don't know. That could have been a really cool box, because that's one that would have worked anywhere. They worship their own gods. They can offer their services to different Chaos armies. Anyway, so that's all rant over. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video because I got to go hang up and pack some stuff with my wife. I'm going to be doing a big picture day today as I photograph all the models I've been painting off camera, because, again, I'm moving all my painting stuff. And as I am available to do it, I'm going to be doing all kinds of news reports for the upcoming GHB, and there is a campaign book on the way they previewed as well. I think it's just called Dawnbringers. Isn't that what it is? But maybe I'm getting that wire crossed. I don't know. They previewed an upcoming book, so I'm excited to get into those too, and I hope you'll hang out with me and enjoy that content. So let me know your thoughts on these down below, and I will catch you next time. Happy wargaming, my friends.